Let's bring in Kristen Welker, who's at the White House for us. Kristen, good afternoon to you. Let's start with the immigration deal that could pass. The Gang of Eight, not so optimistic about a deal without making sure a plan for bringing foreign workers into the country and then paying them the right amount was in place. What are the nuts and bolts so far of what we're hearing on the guest worker program?
Well, we're hearing that they have made major progress on the guest worker program. The sticking point really revolved around how much temporary workers would be paid. The unions were concerned that they would make below the median wage, which would ultimately drag down wages for all workers. But the labor community, the Chamber of Commerce, was concerned that paying guest workers too much would ultimately have a harmful effect on some businesses. So they compromised in between. The compromise involves paying guest workers the higher of the prevailing industry wage, which is set in part by the Labor Department. That is Washington speak and a complicated way of saying that they compromised. Unions believe that this will be fair pay and won't actually drag down salaries of other American workers. So that is really key here. Another part of this is that some jobs have been excluded from this. Some of the higher skilled jobs have been excluded from this. This is such a big deal, Richard, because back in 2007, the guest worker program was one of the things that derailed immigration talks. It was one of the things, quite frankly, that was threatening to derail these current negotiations. So the fact that they have really crossed this major barrier and seem to have an agreement at this point is very important. Having said that, lawmakers on both sides will tell you that until they have the legislation in place and signed off on, of course, there is no final deal. Richard.
And again, that was sort of the tenor of the comments made this morning. Is there a deal or isn't there a deal? But you're very clear to say a part of the deal has perhaps been agreed upon. Any idea on timeline here from what you're hearing, Kristen?
Well, there is a timeline, Richard. We are hearing that their goal is to unveil the entire immigration reform package the week of April 8th. That is when lawmakers are back in session. And then in terms of getting this passed through both chambers, you heard the president say this past week he wants to see something passed this summer. That may be an optimistic timeline, but that is what they are hoping for. As you know, time is of the essence when you are dealing with these types of issues. Richard.
Kristen Welker at the White House. Thank you.